Hi everyone, my name is Maddie, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where I'm going to be reading my most anticipated, or at least one of my most anticipated 2021 releases. So, I'm looking chill. It's a Saturday, we're having a chilled reading Saturday. Hopefully gonna read a big chunk of this book today and maybe even finish it today. We'll see how it goes. I have been watching sprints all morning. I've been setting up lots of things for exciting things that are coming soon. So I spent a good few hours sorting all of that out. Now I'm going to settle down to read for a few hours. I do have the FAES and Gaze live show later, so I need to stop for that obviously, but that's only like an hour and a bit. And then I'll go back to reading this evening, and I'm so excited. For those who do not know, this is First to Become Ashes by K.M. Sparer. I was very kindly sent this by Tor. I can't believe it at all, but I'm excited. Docile by K.M. Sparer. I'll go grab it. Docile, one of my favourite books of 2020. It was tied top with The Once and Future Witches. I loved it so much. So dark and so gritty and so thought-provoking. I adored it. And therefore, K.M. Sparer's new book is by far like my most anticipated release of the year, pretty much. So I am incredibly excited to read this. As far as I know in terms of synopsis, I've not looked into it too much because I don't want to spoil myself because I love going into books blind. But it says, the Fellowship raised Lark to kill monsters. His partner betrayed them to the feds, but Lark knows this magic is real and he'll do anything to complete his quest. Basically, this follows Lark, who has been torturing himself for years. He is part of a cult and has been told that if he tortures himself, he will get magic. But that may not in fact be true, and I just think it's going to be a really interesting depiction of basically someone putting themselves through hell in terms of earning something and with the hope of earning something. And I don't know, but knowing from Docile, it'll probably be really dark but fascinating and a really thought-provoking read. So I'm incredibly excited. I've been waiting to read this for so long. It's not even too long. It's like less than 300 pages. So maybe even I can read it in a day. But I'm incredibly excited. So we're going to vlog my process of reading it and review it at the end, of course. I know I'm probably setting myself up for failure, but I cannot fathom this not being a 5-star. It just has to be. It's queer, I'm pretty sure. It's fantastical. It's dark. I think I'm gonna love it. Anyway, I'm gonna go start reading because I don't have too many hours and I want to make the most of it, but I will update you as soon as I have thoughts. Hopefully quite soon. Okay, so this is absolutely not it with the lighting, but it's late, so it's what we're going with. I apologize for all harsh shadows. So, reading did not go to plan today. It's currently 12:30. It's 12:30 and I have basically not read anything. I have read 20 pages. I want to try and get to like page 50, maybe 54, because that's a chapter break. We'll try and get to page 54 before I sleep and I will give you an update then. But yeah, reading did not go to plan. I spent a lot of hours making a Patreon, which I have launched. I've been considering doing it for a really long time and I finally decided to do it. So that's a thing now. It's linked below if you want to check it out. Not the point of this video. The FAES and Gaze live got cancelled. So I should have had plenty of time, but I instead went on my phone on like Twitter and TikTok for like 4 hours. So it wasn't my most productive day. I have just set timers on those apps for about 15 to 20 minutes each because it's got out of hand again and it's pissing me off because I want to read, not be on TikTok. How much I love TikTok, it's not where I want to be spending my time. So I guess very early thoughts for the first 20 pages. I don't have much. Like, I don't know what's going on, which I kind of love. We're thrown straight into this cult and they don't explain the way they practice anything. We're gonna have to figure it out as we go, I think. That's fine by me, but therefore 20 pages in, I don't really know what's going on. Love the writing style though, that's the thing I can say. Like, it's not particularly lyrical, it's not particularly special, but something about it I just find really enjoyable to read. I just find it really quick, really engaging. I'm very intrigued and so intrigued by the characters and what's gonna happen in this book because I just have no idea, because I was under the impression in this that magic may not actually be real, and so I'm not sure if these characters are being straight up lied to the cult, or whether in the cult they genuinely believe there's magic, or what we're seeing if it actually is kind of magic. I don't know. I also just realised I said I've read 20 pages. I've read to page 20. It starts on page 11. I've read 9 pages. Not my best moment. But I'm gonna try and read a bit more and try and work it out. I will of course keep this vlog non-spoilery as well, so don't worry about that. I feel like I'm safe saying whatever I want at this point because I've read 9 pages, so you know, The other thing as well, which I've mentioned in other videos, but I don't think I've mentioned in this one, is there are trigger warnings for this book. It says in here, and it says elsewhere, let me find it. Yeah, so it says on the pub sheet, it says briefly in the book as well, but I'll just read this bit. It says, First Become Ashes contains explicit sadomasochism and sexual content, as well as abuse and consent violations, including rape. It's the same, except the book doesn't say including rape. I think to keep in mind reading this book, I mentioned earlier it's going to be dark. If it's anything like docile, I feel like that's definitely going to be the case. Just, you know, be warned going into it, go carefully. But yes, I'm going to go try and read like another 30 pages, hopefully give you one more quick update before I sleep, and then tomorrow, I'm going to have to read so much tomorrow. My to-do list for tomorrow has expanded exponentially and I'm slightly scared of it, but we'll do what we can. So hopefully one more update quickly tonight, and then I'll speak to you tomorrow. Okay, so it's been about half an hour. I'm on page 42. I am probably going to read a little bit more, but I'm going to go get into pajamas and get into bed to do that reading because I am absolutely exhausted and I have to be up early for sprints tomorrow, which I have a lot to do in. I'm really enjoying this. I am so intrigued. Loving the two main characters, Kane and Lark. Really enjoying both of them. Both fascinating. So many things I don't understand yet, and I want to understand it all, and I'm really, really intrigued. That's the biggest emotion at the moment, is just intrigue and curiosity. So I'm excited to keep reading. I'm still so hopeful and optimistic this is going to be like a 5-star read for me. It better be. I'm going to be so sad if it's not. Hello, it is Sunday morning. I'm still reading First Become Ashes. I got to page 54 last night as I planned, and then I've read another 20 pages so far this morning before going on to sprints, which I'm currently on, and I'm going to read a bit more in this first sprint. I just had breakfast in the first sprint instead of reading, but I'm going to carry on with it. I am loving this. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, no, that's not true. I understand like the plot as it's progressing, but there is just so many unknowns with this cult. Like, part of me is thinking, it's a cult. Of course, there isn't actually any magic. They've just been tricked into thinking that. But then like things keep happening that make it seem like there is actually magic, but then also that's from the perspective of someone who would believe that. So it's the epitome of like, who do you trust? Unreliable narrators. But no one knows they're unreliable. They all think they're telling the truth, which is really interesting and I'm really enjoying. I am seriously intrigued for the plot to pick up a bit and see what the plot's going to end up being, because at this point I don't quite see like the drive forward and where that's going, but I'm excited because it's KM Sparrow's typical like kind of untrustworthy, kind of mind trippy. Yeah, really enjoying it. Love the characters, such interesting varied characters, and we have a non-binary main character, which is nice. Darren uses they them pronouns, and I say non-binary, they haven't stated officially non-binary. The assumption is there. I get the impression that these people from the cult always use like are very specific about choosing their pronouns and like telling people their pronouns. They use they them pronouns, and I don't know if that would be non-binary. That was an assumption, but it's cool to see nonetheless, and I'm very, very intrigued to continue with this. So I'm going to go do exactly that. Hello, so I have been reading. I'm on page 132, so getting near to the halfway mark now. I am, of course, really enjoying this. I'm genuinely having such a good time with it. It's really interesting. My one thing at the moment is it's quite sort of an adventure story, which is fine. It's not necessarily my kind of top choice of book. I want it to get more into the psychological stuff of like someone who's been part of a cult, been part of this, realizing that maybe it's not real, maybe they've been misled. I'm really intrigued to see Lark's progression throughout the book, because he's already starting to have moments of doubt about everything he's been taught, but he's definitely nowhere near believing anything else yet. So I'm very intrigued to see over the next 170 or so pages what happens with that. I am really enjoying it though. I still love KM Sparrow's writing style. As I said, it's not particularly identifiable, but it's really enjoyable to read. I'm loving the other characters. We've met a character called Calvin now, who I'm really enjoying. Just lots of very good things, and I'm having a very good time with it. I'll definitely finish it today. I'm probably going to take a few hours off because I do need to film some other videos, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, I like filming, it's just because I want to keep reading. But hopefully if I do that for, I don't know, like 2 hours or something, I can get the 2 videos I need to film filmed. And then hopefully I can come back to this one, maybe? I don't know, we'll see. I definitely want to finish it today though, partially because the video is meant to be going up tomorrow, so you should be seeing it already. But yeah, having a good time with it, and I realise I haven't actually said at any point in this video yet. This comes out on the 6th of April, I'm pretty sure. which is very exciting. So not long to wait for any of you that want to read it. Just less than a month, but yeah, very much enjoying it, excited to carry on with it. I will update you probably in a few hours when I've read a bit more. Hello, I am back again with another update for First Become Ashes. Sorry you have seen me in so many outfits today. I'm trying to bulk film some videos, so I just keep changing, but I've just filmed the last one, so I'm done. But I'm loving this. I'm currently at page 194, almost at chapter 20, just about to start chapter 20. So I'm making really good progress. I've got 100 pages left, so I'll definitely finish this today. I am loving it. It's really interesting because considering how dark it is and how like interesting it is, not that actual much plot is happening. I kind of love that it's not this huge complex plot. I'm really enjoying it. I am certain there is something we don't know. I am missing something and I don't know what it is, and I don't know if I've just missed it or whether there's going to be some big crazy reveal in the next 100 pages, but I'm excited. It's just fascinating, honestly. It is just utterly mind-boggling and fascinating. We're starting to get into like the psychology of believing these things and reveal more from the outside world, sort of what has happened to these people, what's been done to these people to get them so into the way they are now and into their heads and all of this, and it's really fascinating. So I'm super intrigued to continue. I might update you again before I finished it if something dramatic happens, but the update may now be when I finished. I'm so excited to continue, like so excited. Cannot wait. Think I'm just gonna have the best time. So I'm really, really hyped. I will say I don't think I'm loving it quite as much as I loved Docile, just because I think being a longer book, it had more space to go into all the complexities of relationships and like damaging relationships and damaging behaviors and all of this. This is getting into it a bit, but so far hasn't delved into it too much, just due to it only being 300 pages long, I think. But that doesn't mean I'm not absolutely loving it, because I really am. Hello, so we are back with the not so great lighting because it is like evening again. It's 9:30. And I just finished this. I'm going to do my best to form coherent thoughts. Basically, I loved it, but I'm kind of struggling to work out why. Like, it was definitely just a fascinating read and seeing this insight into people coming to terms with things. There's one thing massively tripping me up and it's just messing with my head, but I can't really say because it's a spoiler, but just I don't know how to feel about it. It was so good. It's a weird one because I didn't feel like, you know, on the edge of my seat reading it. I didn't like get really strong reactions to anything, but I feel like it's gonna stick with me. Like, it was so dark in so many ways, just as I expected going into KM Sparrow book. But the thing, I think it was the characters that did it for me. Like, the plot was good, the story was interesting, but it's the characters that did it for me. Kane and, oh my god, Lark and Calvin and Darren, I can't. Also, just as a side note, so much queer rep. We did have a non-binary character, we had characters going by lots of different pronouns, and like a really strong emphasis on like declaring pronouns when you meet someone. Loads of queer rep. Got some like, I won't say that's a spoiler, I know sexuality is not a spoiler, but trust me on this one. Just, it was so good, so varied, such an interesting cast of characters. Not a big cast of characters, but fascinating. And that's reminded me as well, something I loved in Docile, which again was done really well in this one, is the multiple perspectives. I did feel like, and I felt like this with Docile as well, I'll reread it later this year and find out, but I don't necessarily feel a massive difference between like tone of voice in the different character perspectives. So I feel like if I didn't have at the top telling me which character it was, other than context clues, I wouldn't be able to tell, like just by tone of voice. But I kind of don't care. The way KM Sparrow uses different characters to show different sides of things, especially with something like this where, you know, these people are being brought out of a cult and basically being told what they believe their whole lives may not be true. It was fascinating having a character who already didn't believe and was dealing with the ramifications of that, one who was questioning it and one who still fully believed and thought they were being tricked or something. It was such a useful device to be able to see that full character progression without having to watch one character go through it. You could see it through different people's eyes. That was really interesting, and also different roles within the cult were represented and like how they would therefore deal with it differently. Just overall, I think it was just exceedingly well done. I don't know what I'm rating this book. I mean, it's definitely not lower than a 4. Like, there's no question of it being a 4 at least. Is it quite a 5? I don't know. I feel like it's not got what I would normally call a 5-star feeling. Normally when I read a 5-star book, I come out a bit like, oh my god, I loved it, oh, crazy, crazy. And I don't feel like I've got that, but I feel like that's almost because everything in this was so dark, but almost dealt with in this really blatant, almost muted way, which sounds really bad, because obviously you're reading these really traumatic things, and it might just be the way that I read it. I don't know. But I didn't ever feel like, I didn't feel a visceral reaction. Obviously I was like disgusted by some of the things going on, of course, but I felt like it was said often in a very matter-of-fact way of like, it happened, and I feel like that's very suitable for the context, because these people are realizing these things that happened maybe weren't a good thing and all of this, and so stating in a matter-of-fact way of like, it happened, instead of like, look at this awful thing that happened to me, actually makes more sense with the context of them relaying this information. And so I feel like that's why it feels quite, I was gonna say dull. Dull is not the word, but quite like level. Like, there's not crazy ups and downs, but where I really felt that was through the characters. The characters and the character relationships and the character progression throughout this book. So here for it, so well done, absolutely loved it. Like, absolutely adored it. So I think that's my final thoughts. I don't know what else to say. I would recommend you guys pick this book up. It's really, really fascinating, genuinely a bit mind-bending, as I'm coming to expect from K.M. Sparrow. Obviously, again, the trigger warnings, they are in the front of this book twice. They are on the pub sheet. I will read them again just once more. It says, First Become Ashes contains explicit sadomasochism and sexual content, as well as abuse and consent violations, including rape. Please know that going in. There is also a lot of talk about, like, basically self-harm. So just, if any of those things are triggering or uncomfortable for you to read about, please, 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 either go carefully or do not read this book. However much I think it's brilliant and a really interesting read, it is very dark, and it does not hold back on talking about these things, which I don't think is a bad thing. I appreciate a book that's willing to go to those places, but I just don't want someone getting called out by that, so I'll just say that again. But yeah, I loved it. I can't process it, really. I will try in the nearest future to have a full written review up on Goodreads when I've got my thoughts together a bit more. But that's what we're going with for now. So I enjoyed it. I don't know how to process it, but I enjoyed it. I kind of wish it was longer, but I also don't feel like it needed to be longer. I feel like it was actually the exact correct length, but I would just like to see more of these characters. I don't know. Oh my god, what I need is a tour novella of 3 of these characters, like 6 months on. Which actually we kind of got. That's literally the epilogue, isn't it? Okay, no, we literally got that in the last 2 pages. I just want 100 pages of it instead of 2. But yes, I'm gonna stop rambling now. I had a really good time reading this. Thank you again to Tor for sending it to me. Thank you to Claire for setting me up with contact, and to Lauren and Esther for sending it out. I think that's it for the video though. I just, you can tell by the fact I can't just speak. I can't process what I just read, but it was so good. That's the overarching feeling, but I'm gonna go now. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, comment down below. Are you gonna pick up this book? Have you read K.M. Sparrow's other book? I'd love to know, because you should. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. Links to all of my other social media, as well as my wishlist and my Patreon, are down below in the description, along with links to all of the read-alongs and book clubs that I host if you want to take part in any of that. But that is it for this video, so bye, and I'll see you in the next one.